Two men jumped from behind a wall. They pushed Rufus to the ground. They tied his hands. One of them raised a knife. "Say your last prayer, rich man," he growled. But before the knife could touch him, "Freeze!" Police sirens wailed. Flashlights beamed through the dark room. Officer Emeka and his men rushed in with guns. "Drop your weapons!" The killers dropped the knife and raised their hands. The engineer tried to run, but Lucy blocked his way.
In the heart of Umuchukwu, a busy town filled with cars, loud voices, and smoky air, there lived a young girl named Lucy. Lucy was kind, she was beautiful, and she always smiled, even when she had nothing. But Lucy had no father, no mother, no brother, no sister. She was alone in this world. After her parents died in a car crash, her father's younger brother, Uncle Boniface, took her in. At first, he acted kind. He gave her food and clothes. He told people he was taking care of his late brother's daughter. But deep inside, Uncle Boniface was evil. He wanted everything Lucy's father left behind: the house, the lands, the car, even the small shop. One morning, something terrible happened. Lucy was brushing her teeth outside when she heard loud shouting. Her two cousins, Chidimma and Ada, were throwing her clothes out of the house. "Mad girl, go away," Chidimma shouted. "You're not wanted here," Ada added, laughing. Lucy was confused. Then Uncle Boniface stepped outside, holding a paper. "This is a letter from the doctor," he said, waving the paper. "It says you're mentally sick. You need help. You cannot stay here." "But I'm not sick," Lucy cried. "I feel fine." But nobody listened. Uncle Boniface called neighbors and told them Lucy was going mad. They laughed and looked at her with pity. Lucy begged, she cried, but they pushed her out and locked the gate. For days, Lucy wandered the streets. She begged for food, she slept on benches. Sometimes she didn't eat at all. One hot afternoon, she fainted beside a construction site. The workers saw her and poured water on her face. One man gave her bread. Later that evening, the site manager came. After hearing her story, he nodded and said, "If you can carry sand and blocks, you can work here." And just like that, Lucy began work as a laborer. But one day, while carrying cement on her head, she heard something, a loud laugh. She turned around. It was Chidimma and Ada, dressed in fine clothes. "Eewoo, see our mad cousin! She now carries block for money!" They laughed until their sides hurt. Lucy looked down. Tears dropped on the sand. She wanted to run. She wanted to scream. She wanted to disappear. But instead, she took a deep breath and carried another block.
Every morning before the sun came out, Lucy woke up from the cold ground of an uncompleted building. She had no bed, no blanket, just an old sack she used to cover her body at night. But even with the pain in her back, even with the hunger in her belly, she stood up, washed her face with rainwater, and walked to the construction site. Lucy had become a laborer. She carried heavy blocks. She lifted cement. She packed sharp sand into buckets, and she did it all with her bare hands. Most people looked at her and laughed. "How can a girl carry blocks?" they whispered. But Lucy didn't answer. She just worked. But not everyone was kind. One man named Sule was always looking at Lucy in a strange way. He would wink at her, call her my wife, and try to touch her hand. "Leave me alone," Lucy said one day. But Sule only laughed. "You need me to protect you here," he said. If you don't smile at me, things will be hard for you." Lucy stayed far away from him. That evening, when all the workers were resting, Lucy sat alone in a corner, crying softly. Just then, a soft voice spoke behind her. "My daughter, why are you crying?" It was an old woman, her wrapper tied neatly around her waist. She carried a cooler of hot food. "My name is Mama Eke, she said. "I sell food here. Come and eat, Biko." Lucy was shy, but she nodded. The rice was hot. The stew smelled like home. That night, Lucy smiled for the first time in weeks. But peace didn't last long. The next morning, the site manager was shouting, "Who stole the spanner and new shovel?" Sule stepped forward, pointing at Lucy. "I saw her near the tools last night." Lucy's eyes widened. "What? I didn't touch anything." The manager frowned. "Lucy, if we don't find those tools, I'll call the police." People gathered. They stared at her. Suddenly, Mama Eke shouted, "Wait! I saw Sule walking toward the storehouse after everyone left." Sule's face changed. The manager told the guards to check his bag, and there it was, the missing tools. Sule was fired that same day, but Lucy didn't smile. She sat down, breathing fast. If not for Mama Eke, she could have been taken away for something she did not do.
The sun was hot that day. It sat high in the sky like a burning ball of fire. Sweat rolled down Lucy's face as she carried a heavy block on her head. Her shirt was old, her feet were dusty. But she didn't stop. She kept working. The sound of hammers, shovels, and mixing cement filled the air. She was tired. Her hands were sore. But Lucy didn't complain. High up, from a black, shiny Jeep, a man stepped out. He wore a fine white shirt. His shoes were clean. His wristwatch sparkled. His name was Mr. Rufus, the owner of the building. And not just this building, but many buildings in Umuchukwu. He was a young billionaire, rich, smart, and loved by many. He walked slowly across the site, inspecting the work. Then, his eyes stopped. He saw Lucy. She was lifting a bag of cement with both hands. Her legs shook, but she didn't give up. Mr. Rufus watched her closely. He didn't speak, but deep inside, something moved in his heart. "Who is that girl?" he asked the site manager. "Oh, just a street girl who begged for work," the man said. Mr. Rufus nodded and said nothing more. Just then, a red car drove in. The door opened, and a tall, fancy lady stepped out. She wore high heels and shiny glasses. Her nails were long. Her lips were red. Her name was Amanda, Rufus's fiancée-to-be. "Baby!" Amanda shouted, running to hug Rufus. He smiled weakly and hugged her back. But then Amanda turned and saw Lucy. She looked her up and down. "This one," Amanda laughed. "She looks like a mad goat." Other workers stopped and stared. Lucy froze. Her cheeks turned red. Amanda walked closer. "Do you even shower? Why is a dirty thing like you walking around my husband's building?" Lucy held her tears. "I'm just working," she said quietly. Amanda raised her voice. "Next time I come here and see you, I'll tell them to chase you away." Mr. Rufus watched silently. He looked at Lucy, and for a second their eyes met. She quickly looked away and walked back to her work. But Rufus's eyes stayed on her. He didn't say a word, but his heart whispered, "There's something about that girl."
It was late evening in Umuchukwu. The sky was turning orange. The workers had packed their tools and gone home. But Lucy stayed behind, sweeping the floor near the back of the building. She was alone. Or at least she thought she was. Suddenly, she heard voices. Low, whispering voices, coming from inside one of the empty rooms. Lucy paused. She held her broom tightly. Then, she quietly tiptoed closer to the sound. Behind the wall, she saw something. It was the site engineer, a fat man with sharp eyes and greedy fingers. He was talking to two rugged-looking men. Their faces looked angry. Their eyes looked dangerous. Lucy bent down, her heart beating fast. Then she heard it. "We'll finish him this Friday, when he comes to inspect the house," the engineer whispered. "Are you sure he'll be alone?" one of the men asked. "Yes," the engineer said. "He always walks in without guards. Once he enters the back room, tie him up and finish the job." Lucy covered her mouth with her hand. Her heart felt like it would jump out of her chest. "And don't forget my share," the engineer added. "Once he's gone, his company will be mine." The men nodded and shook hands. Lucy slowly stepped back. 1 step. 2 steps. Crack! She stepped on a dry stick. The sound echoed like thunder. "Who's there?" one of the men shouted. Lucy didn't wait. She ran fast, through the sand, past the blocks, and out of the building. She didn't stop until she reached Mama Eka Ete's food shed. "Mama, they want to kill Mr. Rufus," she cried. Mama's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" she asked. Lucy nodded, shaking. But now she had a problem. If she told the police, those men might hunt her down. If she stayed quiet, Mr. Rufus would die. She sat on the ground, breathing fast. "What do I do?" she whispered. The night was silent, but danger was very close. That night, Lucy could not sleep. She tossed, she turned. Her eyes stayed open in the dark. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Rufus being tied up. She saw blood. She saw the wicked smile of the site engineer. "No," she whispered. "I must do something." Early the next morning, before work started, Lucy wore her old brown slippers and walked fast down a quiet street in Umachukwu. She was going to see Officer Emeka. He was a kind policeman who once helped her when she was chased from her uncle's house. He believed in justice. He was the only one Lucy trusted. At the small police post, Officer Emeka was surprised to see her. "Lucy, you look worried. What's wrong?" She looked around to make sure no one was listening. Then she whispered, "Sir, some men want to kill Mr. Rufus. I heard them planning it." Officer Emeka sat up. "Are you sure?" Lucy nodded. She told him everything. The whispering, the plan, the Friday attack, the engineer's voice. The officer frowned and rubbed his chin. "This is serious," he said. "But you must be careful, Lucy." He leaned closer. "That site engineer, he's not just a builder. He has friends in high places, even some dirty police officers. If he finds out you told me, your life will be in danger." Lucy felt cold. "But I don't want Rufus to die," she said softly. Officer Emeka nodded. "I will handle it quietly, but you must act normal. No one must know you told me. Do you hear me?" "Yes, sir," she whispered. But trouble was already coming. As Lucy returned to the site, a man named Kola, one of the workers, watched her. He had seen her talking to the police. That afternoon, while others were mixing cement,
Cola pulled Lucy aside. "You think you're smart, eh?" he hissed. Lucy's eyes widened. "What?" "I saw you this morning," he said. "You went to report us, Abby. You don't know the people you're messing with." Lucy stepped back. Her hands were shaking. "If you talk too much," Cola said slowly, "you may not live to carry another block." He walked away, smiling. Lucy stood still. Her legs felt weak. Now she knew she was not safe.
The night was cold. The sky was dark. No moon, no stars, just silence. It was Friday, the same day the men planned to kill Mr. Rufus. That evening, Rufus arrived at the construction site alone, just like they had planned. He wore a black jacket. He walked with calm steps. He had no idea that danger was hiding in the shadows. Inside the building, the two killers were waiting. They held thick ropes, knives, and something shiny in a black bag. The greedy site engineer stood at the back, smiling wickedly. "Once he enters the hallway," the engineer whispered, "lock the door and finish the job." Meanwhile, Lucy hid in a corner outside the building. Her heart was beating fast. Her palms were sweaty. She held a small phone and whispered, "He's here. The killers are moving." From the other side of town, Officer Emeka and 4 police officers were racing in a van. "Hold on, Lucy," Officer Emeka said through the phone. "We're coming." Inside, Rufus walked slowly through the building. "Hello?" he called. "Is anyone here?" Suddenly, 2 men jumped from behind a wall. They pushed Rufus to the ground. They tied his hands. One of them raised a knife. "Say your last prayer, rich man," he growled. But before the knife could touch him, "Freeze!" Police sirens wailed. Flashlights beamed through the dark room. Officer Emeka and his men rushed in with guns. "Drop your weapons!" The killers dropped the knife and raised their hands. The engineer tried to run, but Lucy blocked his way. "You're not going anywhere," she said boldly. By morning, the news had spread across Umuchukwu. "Young girl saves billionaire from death. Lucy the brave laborer stops assassins." Reporters wanted to interview her. People clapped for her on the street. But not everyone was happy. From a hotel room, Amanda watched the news on TV. Her eyes narrowed. "So now she's a hero," she hissed. "She'll ruin everything." In another part of town, Uncle Boniface threw his phone on the floor. "That girl again, after all I did to remove her?" He picked up his coat. "It's time I remind Lucy who she really is." Lucy had saved Rufus's life, but a new storm was coming, and this time it was personal.
After the attack, Rufus was safe, all because of Lucy. He called a press conference. Cameras flashed. Reporters gathered. And in front of the whole town, Rufus held Lucy's hand and said, "This young woman saved my life. She is brave, kind, and deserves the best." People clapped loudly. Some shouted her name. "Lucy! Lucy! Lucy!" She smiled shyly. Her heart felt warm. That same day, Rufus gave her a key, the key to a small but beautiful house in a clean part of town. "No more sleeping in dust," he said. "You now have your own home." Lucy cried tears of joy. For the first time in a long time, she felt safe. But peace never lasts forever. One afternoon, a red car stopped in front of Rufus's company.
Amanda stepped out, wearing a long gown and dark glasses. She walked in like a queen. "Rufus, baby," she said sweetly, "I came to say sorry. I was jealous, but I still love you." Rufus was silent. "I miss you," Amanda whispered. "Let's start again." He looked at her. His eyes were cold. But Amanda smiled and hugged him tightly, even though he didn't hug back. Outside the office, reporters snapped photos. "Is she back?" they whispered. Amanda saw the cameras and smiled wider. Meanwhile, in Lucy's new house, there was a knock on the door. She opened it and froze. It was Uncle Boniface, holding a black file and wearing a fake smile. "My daughter," he began. "I came to say sorry. I was wrong. I was confused." Lucy didn't speak. Boniface opened the file. "Look, I brought the papers to your father's land. You just need to sign here, and we'll put everything in your name." He pushed the pen toward her. Lucy's eyes narrowed. She didn't trust him, not even a little. But Boniface kept smiling. "Trust me, Lucy. I just want peace," he said sweetly. Two people from her past had returned. One wore fake love. The other wore fake apologies. And deep inside, Lucy knew something wasn't right.
The sun was high over Umuchukwu, but around Lucy, a storm was rising. She felt it in the way people whispered when she passed. She saw it in the way some workers looked at her with new, strange eyes. Something was wrong. Far away in a quiet hotel room, Amanda sat beside a large table. Across from her was Uncle Boniface, sipping cold malt and grinning like a rat that found cheese. "You want her out of the picture," Boniface said, "and I want my land back." Amanda leaned forward. "Then let's destroy her name," she said. Boniface laughed. "I still have people in the village who owe me favors. We'll find her school records, old photos, anything we can twist against her." Amanda nodded. "I have something better." She pulled out her phone and pressed play. On the screen was a video, the day Amanda shouted at Lucy at the construction site. "Do you even shower? Why is a dirty thing like you walking around my husband's building?" But Amanda had edited the video. She removed her own insults and made it look like Lucy was begging Rufus for money. "She's a gold digger," Amanda said. "She only helped him to become rich." Boniface clapped his hands. "This is perfect." By the next day, the video was all over the internet. People watched, some laughed, others believed it. "Ah, so this is the girl that tricked Rufus. See how she used pity to become rich." "Nawahu, smart girl, Shaw." Lucy sat on her bed, reading the comments. Each word felt like a knife in her chest. "I never begged him for anything," she whispered. "I never even asked for help." Tears rolled down her cheeks. Mama Eke-8 came in with food. "My child, don't cry. Truth always wins." But Lucy was quiet. Even Rufus hadn't called since the video came out. She looked at her phone and wondered, had the world turned against her again?
The sky was gray over Umuchukwu. Clouds moved slowly, like they were carrying a secret. Lucy sat quietly in her room, still hurting from the fake video. Her phone kept buzzing, but she didn't want to answer. Not the calls, not the messages, not even Rufus. Then, suddenly, knock, knock. "Come in," she said softly. The door opened, and Mama Ekaete stepped in, holding a brown envelope. "My daughter," she said, "I've been keeping something for too long, but now it's time you knew." Lucy looked up, confused. Mama Ekaete sat down and opened the envelope. Inside was an old, folded paper. The edges were torn, the ink had faded, but the words were still there. "It's a letter," Mama said, "from your father. He gave it to me before he died." Lucy's eyes widened. She took the paper with shaking hands and began to read. "If you're reading this, my dear daughter, it means I'm no longer here. You must know the truth. Your Uncle Boniface is not your helper. He is a thief. I made a will, hiding the documents in the wooden floor under our old house, the one I built with your mother. He tried to trick me once, and I fear he may try again after I'm gone. And there is one more truth. Mr. Rufus's father, Chief Eze, was once my best friend, but we became enemies after he betrayed me in a land deal. That betrayal started a war between our families, and I fear that fight may never end." Lucy dropped the letter. Her hands were cold. "So, Rufus's father caused my father's pain," she whispered. Mama Ekaete nodded slowly. Lucy's mind began to race. What if the reason Boniface and Amanda were working together wasn't just about her? What if it was deeper? A family war from the past, still burning like fire. And now she held the truth. A will that could expose Boniface, and a secret that could destroy everything between her and Rufus. She looked at Mama Ekaete. "What do I do now?" she asked. Mama Ekaete held her hand gently. "You be strong, my child. The truth is heavy, but it will set you free."
The wind blew hard through Umuchuku that evening. Doors slammed, leaves danced in the air. Something didn't feel right. Lucy stood in front of Rufus, holding the old letter in her hand. Her voice was low, but her heart was loud. "Rufus, your father and my father, they were once friends. But something happened. Your father betrayed mine." Rufus stepped back. He looked shocked. "No, that can't be true," he said. Lucy gave him the letter. He read it slowly, line by line. The more he read, the tighter he held the paper. "My father never told me this," he whispered. "He always said your father was greedy." Lucy looked into his eyes. "I never wanted this, but you deserve to know." Rufus turned away. He didn't speak. He just stared at the wall, silent and cold. The next morning, as Lucy sat outside her house, a black car pulled up. Out stepped Amanda, holding her stomach and crying fake tears. "Rufus, I'm pregnant," she shouted. He looked at her in shock. "It's your baby. You can't leave me now." Rufus didn't answer. His heart was already full of confusion. Lucy watched from afar, her chest heavy. Later that night, Lucy went to check something near the old family house, the one her father built. She didn't know that Uncle Boniface had been watching her. As she walked past the old mango tree, two masked men grabbed her from behind. "Let me go!" she screamed. But they pushed her into a van and drove off. In a dark, empty building, Lucy was tied to a chair. Boniface stepped out of the shadows. "You think you're smart, You think you can take everything from me?" he barked.
He threw a paper on the ground. "Sign this and give me back the land." Lucy spat on the floor. "I'd rather die." Boniface raised his hand. Just then, bang! The door flew open. A voice shouted, "Freeze!" It was Cola, the same worker who once threatened Lucy, but now he wore a police badge. Boniface was shocked. You set me up?" Cola smiled. "I was tired of your wickedness." Police officers rushed in and grabbed Boniface. Lucy cried as they untied her. Cola looked at her and said, "Not everyone in the dark wants to stay there." But even though Boniface was caught, Lucy knew her battle wasn't over. Amanda still had her lies. Rufus still had questions. And the world still had eyes.
If this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, because the next part, it will leave you speechless.